Hello and welcome to this episode of the Mixtape podcast. This is where we take a deep dive into the inspirations and influences of my guest as I ask them to select 6 tracks for their imaginary mixtape. Track 1 is an attention grabber. Track 2 is a song they sing in the car or the shower. Track 3 is a cover version. For track 4, I'll ask them to pick a song they wish they could have played to their 18-year-old selves. Track 5 is a song they would use to woo someone. Track 6 is a track that my guest feels doesn't get the attention or recognition that it deserves. Track 6 is for Patreons only, so if you'd like to support the creation of this podcast, it's patreon.com/mixtape podcast, or you can check out the link in the description below. You can join for free or subscribe for as little as $2 a month. There's lots of other Patreon-only content on there, including the opportunity to ask guests a question and to have a personalised mixtape playlist curated by yours truly. There's lots of other ways you can support me, a like or a follow on social media. Again, there's links in the description for that. Or if you are listening on Spotify, you can smash the follow icon or you can rate the podcast. All of these little things go a long way towards growing the platform, and I really, really appreciate it. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Hello and welcome to this mixtape for KCR 102.5 FM and the mixtapepodcast.com. Today is an absolute pleasure to be chatting with Michael from Imber. How are you, mate?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thanks for coming on the show. Always appreciate your time, mate, and your fantastic music. So your latest single is Let Go, is that right? The last one you put out?
Last one we put out was Let Go, yeah. So that which is a while ago. We've got a few more scheduled, but yeah, the Let Go is the last one we sent out.
So do you give lots of consideration to your sort of release schedule and how you release each single?
Yes and no. Like, to start with, it suits our lifestyles, right? And the way that we actually kind of write the songs, and the songs sort of come together. So sort of aiming for maybe, every 8 weeks having something completed and ready to release, and not sort of moving through them too quickly has really kind of suited our approach to sort of doing these. But I mean, the band didn't start consciously, doing this, didn't actually start consciously as a decision for us to start a band. So I was actually, my background is more playing covers around Perth. And so I played in a lot of, mainly over the last couple of years, I've been playing in Britpop cover bands.
Okay, yeah.
And so, Kate and I kind of got introduced and sort of got to know each other, and she came along to see the shows and watch me play in these bands and everything. And just out of curiosity, she sent me one of her songs, the compositions that she'd actually been working on. And when she gave it to me, I was like, these are amazing tracks, So, and they weren't completely finished, so they need a little bit of rounding off and all of those sorts of things. And so the kind of way that we sort of started and sort of got them all together was it was very piecemeal. And so the ethic has kind of just stayed the same. Yeah, we've got little bits and pieces working and kind of going over them. Kate kind of puts them together in a bit more of a haphazard way, and I'm a bit more methodical one who then goes, right, we need to finish that, and gets finished and they move through. So it certainly suits, and it releases the pressure of trying to get a whole bunch of stuff ready all at once.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Keeps me intrigued, and every time when I'm on AMRAP and I see Imber, I'm like, sweet, yes, new track from Imber to play on the show, lovely. Yes, I've been playing your other singles. Keeps Me Warm, I think, was the first track of yours that's up on AMRAP that I saw, but I know there's a few others. Just give your socials and shout out, mate, just so people know where they can connect with you and find your music.
And look, I've got to be honest, I'm not the world's biggest social media user. Kate does a lot of that sort of stuff. Yep. So I think officially it's imber.band on Instagram, I think is what it's under. But if you search Imber Band on most socials, you'll be able to find us. I think we've got a TikTok, Instagram and Facebook account out there.
I had the same conversation with someone earlier, but like Imber, you're not going to get confused with anything else. Do you know what I mean? It's fairly distinctive and unique.
To be honest, like, once we actually made the decision, we kind of got the songs back, and we kind of were, we were a bit astounded with how the songs sort of came back when we sort of sent them away to be professionally finished.
Mm-hmm.
And we very hurriedly had a conversation about, well, what do we do with it now that we've gone through this whole process and we've got this finished thing? And we were kind of like, maybe we should just release them and see, whether anybody would actually like them. And so then discarded that conversation about finding a band's name. And I can't think of anything worse, to be honest. Like I've been in a few bands where you've just got these horrible group chats with just the most awful things in them. So Imber sort of stumbled out of the blue of just looking at a word that was like gibberish words in other languages, but rather fittingly tonight, I believe it means storm in Latin. Although I had to be reminded of that because I did an interview a while ago, and it was the first thing I got asked, and I had to blankly go, "No idea what it means."
In terms of how you and Kate work together, do you get out and play live, or are you just a studio band, or how does it work? Have you played any live shows at all?
No, we haven't played any live shows as of yet. And that's for a number of reasons. Like I say, the way that this has all come about, it wasn't really planned and it never really started as a discussion as let's start a band, right? And so the focus up until now has been, and it's really been on the idea of, could we produce music that we were actually really happy with? Like when Kate presents me with the little compositions that she's made and sort of pulled together and, they're always really fantastic. I suppose the initial challenge for us was just making them sound the way that we wanted to, right? And pulling them all together. And so the focus up until now has really been, can we kind of make a product, or product's not the right word for it, make songs that we like look at and feel really proud about and that, that we're really excited about. And I think we've managed to do that. The pair of us, look at it and kind of go, actually, we've done something that we're really, really proud of. We probably now getting to the point where we've got enough material that we could do live, and it started to enter into my mind. I haven't played live shows with a band for a while personally myself, and so the itch is really coming back. But doing a live show, I'm not really keen on getting out and just doing it in the way that you would see normal bands do it. Yep, I've seen a few acts, one around Perth that I can't remember the name of, that was more of a jazz act, and looking at live shows by bands like Uncle, and looking at and the way that they kind of do it. And I did go and see a show a while ago. I can't remember who put it on, where it was presented more from the point of view of just continuous music. And so I'm hoping that I'll be able to put together some sort of concept and put something together that will be live, that we can, hopefully start getting out and around Perth and seeing if we can pull some shows from early next year. Yeah. So it is very much in my mind. I've got a few really talented musician mates who are more than keen to kind of get out and help me put it together. Yep. And so it's something that I'm pretty excited about doing. It's just taken us a while to get to the point where we've been able to kind of envisage the way that we really want to do it.
Yeah. When I listen to your music, if you did a live show and if I saw you live, it would be more about the visuals than you performing as a band. I don't mean any disrespect by that, but you know what I mean by that. Like, some kind of, sort of visualization in the background of you playing. That's how I imagined it to be.
And absolutely, that's probably, pretty hard technically to pull off when you've got limited resources, right? Exactly right. But, when you look at those shows of bands like Left Field or like say, there's some Uncle shows that I've seen that I found really captivating. They kind of pull with that. And you're exactly right. Like that idea of what the visual looks like and, what it all looks like, it would be part of pulling it all together. Yeah. So, and like I say, the concept that I have and that I'd like to really try and do when I put it out there is that it runs very much almost like an electronic music set where the music never stops and flows from one thing to the other. So it's probably just not as easy as pulling together your average, 5 guys with their instruments standing on a stage.
No, absolutely. Talking about Uncle, I think they were, like, in terms of visuals, like their music videos even, Rabbit in Your Headlights is one of the most amazing music videos I've ever seen. Fantastic video. If anyone who's unfamiliar, check out the song because it's a great song, but get yourself on YouTube and look up Uncle with a K, Rabbit in Your Headlights. Incredible video. Just, amazing. Let's drop into your mixtape choices then, mate. Have you got them at hand or do you want me to prompt you or can you remember them?
I can sort of remember them, yeah. So
right, no worries. Okay. Whenever I'm making up a mixtape or a playlist, or even when I'm kicking off the radio show, normally I'll go in with a big attention grabber for the track one. So what would you go with for that, mate?
So I had a few choices, but ultimately I think the one that I had to go with was Grecki by Lamb. Yeah. So it's an immense track. And interestingly, not the opener on that self-titled album, but it is the song itself is just captivating right from the the very start, the way that it kind of flows in with just that sense of tension, and then loose vocals sort of kicking in, and you know, she has those vocals that are just slightly sinister, and you just don't know where they're going to go. Yep. And so this song, I mean, it's always been an attention grabber for me. Yep. I always remember listening, like every time I've listened to this record all the way through, and you know, it's a great album, sort of really pulls, and then you get to this song, and it takes a different turn, and you're almost like, you know, you've kind of got there in this kind of haze, and then this song comes on, and it's hard not to just instantly change what you're doing and pay attention to it.
I think I said to you when we were messaging, when you sent me your track choices, I played that on the show heaps, and I looked up, because I've still got all the run sheets from all the shows that I've ever done on KCR, and that was show number 3. I played that track way back in like November 2020. And I found that CD in an op shop. I always get in the op shops and pick up CDs and stuff. I've got like, I don't know, whatever, 1,500 CDs that I've just started re-collecting over the last 3 or 4 years. And yeah, I picked that up in the op shop, and I was like, yes, I'll play that this week. Lovely. Yeah, I wasn't expecting, because normally it's like, you know, you get classical music or Robbie Williams, The Cause, Shannon Noel. That's your standard op shop, like CD fare. And then when something like that pops up, it's like, oh, yes. Can't believe I stumbled across that one. Yeah, what an amazing find for $1. You can't say no. You know what I mean?
Do you know, I honestly think that there must be a stash of about 100 old CDs that I have that I've put somewhere, and I know that they must be around. They might be in my brother's place or something. Mm-hmm. Well, I just think that there's some absolute gold in old CDs I used to have, you know, and sort of compilation things that you used to get on the front of like British music magazines and those sorts of things. Hey, so.
Yeah.
I've got some doozies in there. I sometimes wonder where they are, but these days I've just upgraded the car from the last car that had a CD player, so I'm not exactly sure how it's in them. Yeah.
All right. Track 2 is pick a song that you would put on if you're having a sing in the car or the shower, mate. What's your go-to shower song?
So the song that tends to reverberate around my head the most when I'm doing those sorts of things. I'm not much of a singer. When I'm in the car, and to a lesser degree in the shower, I'm a bit more of a drummer, a tapper, so that's my background. But the song that's generally with me with that is Goldfinger by Ash. So yeah, that's been my choice. Yeah,
Rick, the drummer from Ash, was the very first person I ever interviewed.
I did know that. Have actually gone back and listened to it. Yeah, so
unbelievable. Like when I listen back to it, it's well cringe. But like it was, every time you do something for the first time, it's not going to be amazing. Do you know what I mean? And I think this will probably be, I know, maybe episode 68, 69, 70, somewhere in that zone. So I'm getting in the flow of it now. Do you know what I mean? I'm getting a lot better. I'll never forget that feeling of like sitting there with the Zoom meeting open and then his name popping up at the top of the screen. Like Rick Murray has entered you. And I was like, it's real. Like this is actually happening. I can't believe it. So I'm a big Ash fan, obviously, you know, growing up in the time and the era that I did. Yeah. He was a fantastic guest. Really friendly, and I wasn't sure what he was going to be like, but he was really friendly. Yeah, but the one problem I did have with that chat was I was using a brand new microphone. I don't know if you can see it. You might be able to see it. Yeah, that one. The Rode Podcaster, and it was the first time I was using it, and I had it on the desk, and I thought, and it was in shot like that for the video, and I was like, oh, I can't have that. So I swung it upside down from the bookshelf. I thought, yeah, that would look well professional if it's like pointed like there, just above me. I look like I know what I'm doing. And then what I didn't realise was with the mic, it's directional, right? So I was talking into the back of it because it was upside. And when I listened back, my voice was tinny as you like. You could barely hear what I'm saying. So what I had to do in an half an hour episode, I had to go in Audacity and re-record all my questions with the microphone facing the right way. So it didn't sound so shit. I thought I can't have the first episode I ever put out being like all tinny and rubbish. Yeah, they're coming to Perth again later this year. I don't know if you're gonna go. They're playing the Rosemary.
I will be standing. I've already got the tickets to that one. So
right. Okay,
that one. Yeah, and look, Rick's a fantastic drummer to watch. Every time I go and see him play, you know, like I don't know, like he never strikes me as the most technical drummer, but when I see just how fast he can play songs like Losing Control and that sort of stuff, and they're an amazing live watch as well. Yeah, so I'm a big fan of them as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Me too. Same. All right. And track 3 is your favourite cover version, mate. What'd you go with for that?
So I went with probably the only one that I think like I didn't actually realize this was a cover version. I just thought it was an absolutely amazing song and realized it was a cover version, sort of later on. But it's a big influence for Kate and I in Imber. So Night Call by London Grammar was the song that I've gone for. Yeah. So it's an utterly amazing song.
She's got an incredible voice. I'm a big London Grammar fan. I think Strong was I saw him on Jules Holland back like years ago doing Strong. And it just blew me away, like the power of her voice, and yeah, so good. And I can really see now you've just said that, I can really see that influence in your stuff as well, for sure.
Yeah, so Lamb and sort of London Grammar are probably two of our bigger influences. They're songs that really Kate takes a lot of her kind of things from. And when she actually gives me a song, and so she starts off our compositions, and normally they come through with those elements, which is Kate's got quite that kind of sweet voice that sort of comes through. They always come through with strings, like always lots and lots of strings come through in the stuff that she sort of sends me, and the way that she uses the synths is very similar. Maybe not like London Grammar do. London Grammar with their production is all based around that voice, right? But why wouldn't it be? Everything's sort of designed around that idea of making that such a focal point. And Night Call's a great example of that. Like it just builds and builds and builds. But her voice builds and builds and builds at the same time, right? And it's just this kind of perfect kind of collection of everything just reaching that real grandeur ending where the drums really kick in. So it's an exceptional song. Yeah, so.
I think that's always a sign of a good cover when you don't know it's a cover.
Exactly.
When you listen to it, like that's you've nailed it there already. Do you know what I mean? Like if you don't know a song's a cover version, yeah, they're always the best ones. I only found out about 6 months ago that It Must Be Loved by Madness is a cover version. I always thought that was one of their own tracks, but it ain't. It's a cover. And for like 30 years, I've been loving that song. And I only just found out recently that it's a cover version. Labby Sifri done the original. I had no idea. It just come up. I was listening to a podcast and someone mentioned Labby Sifri, It Must Be Love, and Madness. And I was like, what? Eh? How's that happened? Yeah.
It is a thing as well, right? Like, my background predominantly has been playing in sort of cover bands, and trying to make a cover song your own is quite difficult, right? And even Kate and I have had a bit of a go at one, and we do have a cover that we're hoping to release later on this year. Yeah, but I always remember the band that I used to play with doing covers. We used to do Motorcycle Emptiness by Manic Street Preachers, right? Yeah. Absolutely fantastic song to drum to, right? Yeah. But trying to pull it together and make it sound the way that it was and make it ours. And thankfully, that band that I was in had a really, really strong singer. But just, how difficult it is to pull a cover to make it your own. And if, something like this where you do pull it and it really, really becomes yours is amazing. Yeah. And I think this is an exceptional song.
The Manics is one of the best live cover versions I've ever seen. Talking about the Manics and covers, I saw them in Nebworth when they supported Oasis at Nebworth. 1997, and he just come out on his own and did Suicide Is Painless on the acoustic guitar. Unbelievable. So good. One of the best live covers I've ever seen. Yeah, I love Manic Street Preachers. I've seen them live a couple of times over the years. My brother's a massive fan. I need to play more Manics on the show, I think, for sure. All right. Track 4 is a song you wish you could play to your 18-year-old self. What did you pick for that, mate?
So I went for a song, I don't know how well it will be known, but I went for a song by a band called Halos, which is called Pray. Yep. So they're a fairly recent kind of electronic act that sort of come out of the UK, and they're fairly sizable. This is a band that Kate introduced me to. So she really, really loved this band. And, when we sort of started getting to know each other and, Kate and I are partners. So, we used to send each other a lot of mixtapes, right? But then
that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Halos was one of the first tracks that she sent me. I didn't know anything about the band, and it was amazing. Like this actual track and their sound. I often wonder, like I say, something like that. And I know that, the trip hop movement was around when I was, I'm not a spring chicken. Like I lived through that sort of period as well and sorts of things. But I often wonder, if I had heard something like that when I was younger, and the way that this particular song is pulled together, if my musical taste would have gone in a very, very different sort of variation for a while, So, I went down maybe a little bit more of the indie rock sort of basis, but these Halo songs, when you listen to them and the way that they're pulled together, and when I've seen them live and I look at the way that the drummer actually uses his cymbals to pull all the the feeling and the shimmer into the songs and the segues and the way that they sort of perform them, I often think if I'd have heard Halo when I was younger, I wonder whether my musical taste would have evolved in a much different way. There's not too many songs around these days that I think I connect to in the same ways as I did when I was younger. Absolutely. And I think that's natural, right? But finding great music when you're a bit older is a wonderful thing. Yeah. And so
I find it's harder. It gets harder because you feel like you've heard it all. Do you know what I mean? And then someone like that comes along and it sparks you off again. I mean, that constant, it's like a drug for me, like hearing something new that gives me that buzz, gives me that excitement. Like when you get hit, it's like, oh, yes.
And this is what I say. I mean, like I used to go and get the Melody Maker, and you'd find out bands through that, and then you'd stay up late watching music videos and like that. I suppose it's a little bit more accessible these days when you jump online with your streaming services and you can kind of find everything that you want right at your fingertips. But no, there are certain bands that you come across when you're an adult, and like I say, I think discovering new music as an adult is a truly exciting thing. I wish it was a bit more to a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic pursuit, and I don't think I'll ever get bored of looking for the next, big thing. I've got so many outlets, and like you were saying with like Kate, having someone like that in your life who knows what you like and he's always like tipping you off to stuff, like that's a fantastic person to have in your life. And whenever I hear anything new that gives me that buzz, the first thing I do is make a mental list of everyone I know who's going to be in that, and I'll start sending it off. And that's when I pitched the idea of the radio show to KCR. I said to him, like back in the day when you used to make a mixtape and you used to give it to people, the feedback that I get from that's the biggest buzz I ever get, is when someone says, oh, I love that track, I really like that track, or that was brilliant, or, thanks for introducing me to that. Like, that's the best buzz. It's better than hearing it for the first time for me. So the radio show is just put on a bigger scale. You know what I mean? And that's all it is.
And look, I mean, like for me, like I say, I mean, it was something that was a huge bonding part of me and Kate, sort of getting to know each other and kind of, going down the route and falling in love the way that we did and those sorts of things. The concept of being able to share music through mixtapes and those sorts of things has been really important for us. Yeah.
Perfect segue into track 5. 5 of your mixtape is pick a song you would use to woo someone, you would put on a mixtape to let them know that you're romantically interested. What's your track?
So this one was a bit generic, and I feel like I cheated a little bit, right? Because I think those songs come about by, knowing the person that you sort of know, and, they might change forever, but might change on the person that you're with. But for me, as a kind of template, I went for Leather Jacket Love Song by the Cribs, which the Cribs are a band that mean an immense amount to me. So they're probably a band growing up that have meant more to me, and, listen to them. And, I love their approach to music where it's just them and their instruments and their music, and it's not glossy and those sorts of things. And for anybody who's ever seen the Cribs, they are utterly amazing live. They're a brilliant band. And this song is just a catchy kind of way of saying that you can't, that when you do fall in love with somebody, that it's really, really hard to sort of detach from them. So it was a nice excuse to slide in a song from a band that I really, really love, to be honest.
Do you know if Johnny Marr plays on this track? Because he joined them for a while. He was in the band for a while.
You know what? It's right around that period after Ignore the Ignorant. So I think it came after Ignore the Ignorant, and I'm not sure whether he was still involved with them at this point or whether this was post the Johnny Marr sort of stuff and when they went towards in the belly of the brace. Yeah, so
I always the riff to Men's Needs. It's one of the catchiest riffs ever heard in your life. Like, it just gets in your head. It's one of them earworms. You just can't get rid of it. As soon as you hear it, it's like, oh, that's going to be in there the rest of the day.
This is what I say. Like, I think that's their ethos. I've sort of seen things that they've done where they're like, you don't want to see us in pretty music videos and that stuff. What you want to see is us playing our music, sort of, giving you songs that are amazing. And yeah, their songs are absolutely amazing. And so Like I say, there's a lot of crib songs that mean a lot to me. Men's Needs, I will admit, is probably one of the few, I think it's one of two guitar riffs that I can play. Being a drummer, I have chanced my hand at sort of trying to play the guitar, and lots of mates who are really great at it, but Men's Needs is one of the few little riffs that I can actually knock out.
Awesome. Love that. Okay. And just to round things out, mate, future plans for Imber, what have you got coming up? We did touch on it a little bit earlier, but just let us know what you got coming up in the future.
So in line with our kind of like routine kind of release of songs, there's another one. We've got a new track coming out on the 22nd of August. Got to remember which month it is. August, yep. So a couple of weeks away, yep. Hang around for that one. That'll be out soon. We'll start promote, sort of kind of doing a little bit of social media for anybody who checks that out soon, yep. Maybe a little bit of a different feel for us. A bit inspired by going to see last year, the bass band. It's got a bit more of a kick to it, this one, a little bit more energy than Let Go does, that's for certain. And then we've got about three releases ready to go past that now. We've been working a little bit hard. A cover of a fairly well-known trip-hop song will be included in that. And
I'm looking forward to that.
Bit nervous about that one because based upon our conversation about covers, I'm hoping people will like it and not hate it. And then, really, I think the goal for Kate and I is, we haven't really found our place, I suppose, in the Perth music scene to some degree. We're kind of outsiders a little bit in that, we're a bit older, come into this a little bit later. I come from a little bit of a different background. So, I don't feel like we've kind of found our sort of place completely yet. And certainly trying to get a live show, I think would be a bit of trying to examine that for us. So I'm pretty keen to work on that, but I don't want to sort of get it out there until I feel like I can do the songs justice. And that's a big thing for me as well. Is once I get to the point where I want to take it out there and put it into a show, I want to make sure that it lives up to, these songs that I'm pretty proud of. Yeah.
Fantastic, mate. I can't wait for the live show. I will be there with bells on 100%. Can't wait for that. Looking forward to the new stuff coming out as well. If you are listening on the podcast or on the YouTube channel, there will be a link in the description below to Imber socials and all that other good stuff. Michael, thanks so much for coming on the show, mate. Really appreciate your time. It's been an absolute pleasure, buddy.
Mate, no dramas, Mark. And thank you so much for all the kind words you said about our music so far, mate.
Anytime, mate. Anytime. Cheers. Thank you so much for listening to the Mixtape podcast. All the links that you will need are in the description below. Link to my Patreon, my guest website and social media, my social media, and the link to the Mixtape tracks playlist as chosen by today's guest. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time.